And we are all good. Alright, so last time we had set up this whole plan for our radio control unit factory, and this time we are going to actually build the radio control unit factory. So, first thing we need to do is we need to write this into our notes. So let's do that. 25 radio control units. Radio control units. 25 computers. And let's see here. This is going to be 25 crystal oscillators. Lots of 25s of things. 25 of those. 37.5 circuit boards. 0.5 circuit boards. 25 AI limiters. AI limiters. 250 quartz crystals. Quartz crystals. 325 rubber. 325 rubber. Check. 300 petroleum coke. 300 of that. 8.7. Oh, it should be 87.5 plastic, not 8.75. I was going to say that number seemed a little bit small. 412.5 fuel. 412.5 fuel. 306.25 heavy oil residue. 306.25 HOR. 375 quick wire. 75 quick wire. And alright, this says 5, but it should be 75 because it's being used there. That's just a typo. Let's fix that. 75 deuterium ingots. And then all the way over here we have 400 aluminum casings as well. 400 aluminum casings. Alright, so that is all that. Now what we need to do is we need to set up the train stations for this. So we need aluminum ingots in. We need raw quartz. So this is going to be aluminum ingots, raw quartz, fuel, or crude oil, and deuterium. Alright, so that shouldn't be too bad. Alright, so we're going to go back here and make this go a bit out like that, because we need room for train stations back here, and I don't want to have to move all of those signs somewhere else. I maybe should have placed them in a more convenient location, but it's too late now. Alright, so this is going to drag out like that. Oh, hang on. I think we need... Was it lots of wire for the train stations? I think it was lots of wire, so I'm just going to grab that now. Alright, now we have to set this up. So this is the output line, and it is going to come along here like that, get around the signs, and make sure that they're not going to be in the way. then that just expands over that way. Then we skip 2 tiles. Actually, why am I in jetpack? Let's be in upper pack. That'll be more convenient. So we skip 2 tiles and put in our train stations. We're going to need even more space here. Alright, so this will go, scoot a little bit back, push over to the side like that, and that should be a perfectly good place for it. So that is, actually, how many of these do I need? It's aluminum, quartz, crude oil, caterium, so just 4 things, I think. It's not bad at all. We're also going to need to get water here somehow, but that's a whole different type of problem. Alright, so these all go in. This needs to expand out just a little bit more. Like so. And we get one last train station in. And there. Alright, now we just expand this foundation over. Move the railway over that way. And this should be good. So this can be RCU aluminum. Does not have weird capitalization there. This can be RCU quartz. This one can be, oh, that's the same one. This one can be RCU caterium. And then over here, this one can be RCU, what was the last one? Oil. Alright. So those are all in. Now we just need to get the actual unloading pads in, which is going to be a lot of foundations. Alright, so I think this is the last factory I'm going to do directly from raw resources. So we're going to get the RCU, we're going to make drones, and then we're going to use drones to hopefully make things more efficient in terms of like transporting stuff around. I don't want to have to make, you know, rubber and crystal oscillators and all that stuff from scratch every time because they're kind of annoying to do. So hopefully with drones and also just with trains, we'll be able to make this more convenient. Alright, so this is going to get its train platforms. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. Cool. Also, we should connect these in. Does that connect? Let's see. How do we connect? This first one is always the hardest one to connect across because of the way that it is. Sure. Let's go with that. That'll be fine. And then we just have to get the rest of these as well. And just gotta put all of these in. No, don't do that. Do something other than that. Like that. Alright. And then this one goes in there. Alright, so all of those are powered up. Now we go back to placing these in. 3, 4, and 5. Caterium gets 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we don't have enough wire. That's awkward. Well, we can start building the back half of this now. So that goes out a bit, and this is where the rail going into this is going to come from. Alright, so that can go a little bit further over that way. And then this goes along like that. And then we branch into all of these. Obviously, we only have 2 set up right now. So then this will expand the rest of the way over there. And this will go with it. Alright, so now we just have to connect this up to that. Which, how would we get that aligned? So that's going to be lined up to there. Might have made this go a little bit far, but it should work out. We got plenty of room to bend it around. There we go. So now that goes forwards and connects in. Alright, so now we have that. So let's then put the signals in for these 2. And then we can put the front side signals in for all of them. So there, there, and you, and you. And now hopefully we have enough wire. Let's see, we're up to 300 wire, which is not enough, but it is close. We can at least get that one in. And connect it all up. Like that. And now the oil one needs fluid freight. And it's gonna get 2 of those. And then we wait for more wire. Alright, while we wait for that to set up, we need to figure out how much of each of the raw resources we need, which I didn't write down in my notes. Just need to know if it's more than a belt or less than a belt. 600 aluminum ingots, that's fine. 300 raw quartz, that's fine. 200 crude oil, that's fine, and 150 caterium. Alright, so less than a belt for all of them, which means that we can do this relatively simply. So this can go along this way. And all of these will merge up like that. And then we take the Mark V belts. And now we have plenty of this. Don't go around like that. Technically it would work, but please don't. It looks dumb. Still don't know why that is apparently the default every time, but there we go. And then we can just do that for all of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now all these connect up. And this goes forwards like this. Alright. So next we have the Caterium, which is going to do the same thing. Alright, all these go in. And now the belts connect across. Like so. And then these go up like this. Alright, so that is that. Now we should hopefully have enough for this. So we get fluid freight platform. We already have 2. Just put those last couple in. And connect that up. And put a block signal on. There we go. So that is all set up. Now we just need to put the trains in. So, transport locomotives. And you get a train. And you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 freight cars. And you are going to go RCU aluminum to aluminum ingot output. And then save this so that it just goes when it needs to. So there we go, that's that. Then we have the quartz. So you get a train and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 freight cars. Oh, I just realized that these are not set up right. Alright, so you turn off self-driving, cancel docking, because we need to set all of these to unload as opposed to load, otherwise it'll just sit there forever. So all of these get set to unload, and then we're going to have to do that for all of the rest of these train stations as well. There we go. Alright, then we go over here and set this one. I really wish that these were defaulted, like there's a way of setting these as defaults to be unload, but this is what we gotta do. Alright, so those are all set now. Now we can just go over here and turn that back on, and it'll go off. Now, this one is quartz. Oh, I forgot to name that train. That's fine. It doesn't really need to be named. It's just helpful. So you go quartz distributor and RCU quartz. And then all of that. There we go. And then this is Caterium, so you get a train. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 freight cars. And you go to Caterium distributor and RCU Caterium. I need to set this. Almost forgot. Oh, my camera. Okay, hang on. I should be able to fix that. Thank you for telling me. I did not notice. Alright. Tried restoring properties to defaults and it didn't work, so I'm going to have to unplug it and plug it back in again. Alright. So I did that. And there we go. Alright. Camera has been fixed. There we go. Thank you for telling me. What was I doing? I was doing this, right. So I'd set that up, click save, turn on self-driving. Off you go. Alright, then we get this last one. Oh, I got into it instead of... Please, let me out. I kept hitting the wrong button and not being able to escape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 freight cars. And you are oil distributor. RCU oil, and set all of that, and save all the changes, and it's off. Alright, so that should hopefully be all of the train stuff that I need to worry about. So now we just have to get the oil, and then find a source of water for this. Because basically every factory needs water. I have built this thing very, very far from any water. Which was... I'm definitely regretting building this high up, but it's sort of too late now. We can mitigate that more later when we can just like bring more water pipes up all at once and reuse that. Alright, so we have that. So that'll be the crude oil, and we got all the belts in for all the rest of this stuff, right? Yes. Alright, so then we need to figure out how much water we need, which I think I didn't calculate last time because I was very tired and not feeling it at the time. Also, those shadows are all messed up, but whatever. Alright, so as far as the water goes, I'm going to have some in the quartz crystal recipe. So, and that's going to be 178 water there. Then there's going to be some in the fuel recipe, so that's going to be another 412.5, so that's like 600-ish there already. And then we have some more in the deuterium ingot recipe. That'll be another like 150. So we're going to need like 2 pipes of water for this, which is not that bad. And let's see, there's water down there we can grab. However, it'll be more convenient if we can just like attach it to one of these other water pipes so we don't have to redo the whole lifting process again. So let's go over to the aluminum because that should have water. How's the factory been? It's going pretty good. We are making radio control units. So we spent a lot of time making the Phase 3 project parts. But now we are making forward progress again. We have lots of giant factories up here. It's been going pretty smoothly for the most part. Although we are starting to see the complexity of like rebuilding the same things like every time you need a new factory, like more rubber production, more of all that sort of stuff. Has been getting a bit taxing, but other than that, it's been going pretty well. And I think I'm going to be devising a solution to that pretty soon, just after this factory, because once we have radio control units, we can make drones, and that will hopefully open up some options for reusing stuff better. Alright, so we need 2 pipes. And we need them to get up onto, like, sort of under the factory here. It's sort of going to be a roundabout process, but... So that will go there, I guess. And then this one will go back here, maybe? Yeah, that'll be fine. And then these pipes are going to have to run along under the factory. Also, my mouse scroll wheel has been not functioning properly, which makes rotating things a lot harder, but that's not really a factory problem, that's just a computer problem. Alright, so those are going to go over there and then meet up with that. So now we are going to work on this side of things. So we just have to bring these pipes down, hook them into the head lift down there, and then theoretically everything should be good. There we go. These pipes just keep going down. I really hope I have a hyper tube cannon already built to get back up down here. Probably don't. I'll just build a new one then. There we go. And there we go. Alright, so these keep on going down. And we just keep going. Almost there. Almost there. And there we go. Just about made it. Alright. Here we are. Now this is the pipe that provides the head lift. So that is going to expand out like that. And then these two are going to, not in that order, these two are going to connect into all of that. And then we just need to find some available water for them. And it's very hard to tell because of the lighting. I can barely see at all what's going on here. Like, I can't... this doesn't look like... This doesn't look like a swamp, it just looks like a sort of brownish color. Alright, let's bring a power pole over and connect these things up. I wonder if there's a flashlight button, right? Yes. That helps a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many of these do I need? It's 120 each, right? So it's 5 is 1 pipe. And I'm probably gonna need like 8. Alright, so let's upgrade that power line. Then bring it back here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, let's go with that. Should be plenty. So then those all get powered up. And now we just connect these pipes across. Gosh, my ability to click the buttons correctly today is all messed up for some reason. Don't know why that is. Alright, so that is 4. And then I guess we can do 2 pipes of 4. That's fine. It'll make sure that we have less... It'll make sure we're not relying on a full 600 on either individual pipe, which is a very good way to get disappointed by the pipe throughput not working properly. So, there we go. So now we just connect that across, bring these over, and then they're going to have to go up. So these go over here. They're going to need to go up over that pipe real quick. Like that. And then we keep on going. And connect in. So that should be plenty of water. And now we can go up. And do I have a hypertube cannon? No, I do not. Alright, we're just going to hover pack up. Is hover pack faster than climbing the ladder? I think they're going to be about the same. Okay, now hover pack definitely seems faster now. I don't know why. I guess because I got like a running start or something. Anyways, we are going up. And then we're going to need to take these pipes over to the other factory, just across the train tracks. Right, and hopefully we don't lose connection to power while underneath this. Not much I can do if that happens, aside from just fall sadly a very long ways. Actually, that's probably enough of a problem that I should prevent that. So we're just gonna make a foundation for us to walk on while we do this down here. There we go. Alright, so these pipes are gonna come across to here. they need to get underneath the tracks, so let's go down to this. And keep carrying them along. There we go. And keep on going. So that comes up, and that comes up. Alright, so now we're just about there. Just need to get a little bit further. So these are going to come along. Oh, missing copper sheets. That is a bit surprising. They're definitely still coming through to some extent. So I guess we've just drained up the entire... I guess we have simply drained the entire stockpile in dimensional storage. That's fine. We can... We're basically here. We can get those the last bit later once those have had a time to recover. In the meantime, we can make the next floor up. So that goes up there. And then this is going to be the floor that the factory is built on, directly above the train stations as usual. Alright. Use up a massive amount of concrete doing this. Fortunately, we have an infinite supply. So there we go. And that is all in. Alright, so we have this floor. Now we just get the resources onto it and start building. So this goes up to there. And that's where the hole goes. And that goes up. Now we do this one. And that's where the hole goes, and then the belt. Then we get this one. Floor hole goes there. Belt goes there. And out of the crude oil gets a pipeline floor hole. And a pipe going up. Alright, so then you are going to have to be pumped. And that is connected in. Alright, now I think the first thing we want to do is deal with the crude oil, since obviously it has to be pumped up. We'd like to turn this into solid form relatively quickly. So that can be floor 1. So we have a whole bunch of refineries, probably. How much heavy oil residue do we need? We need 306.25. Yeah, so that is going to be... It's going to be a good couple. 2, 3... Oh, don't get placed off-center like that. So that's going to be 40, 80, 120, 160, 200, 240, 280, 320. Alright, so that is that. And this needs to just go across like so. And then the rest of the way. Oh, actually, I'm pretty sure it's important that you feed from the top and not the same side. So we're going to lift this up a little bit. And then it goes across. And then the rest of the way across. And now the junctions all go in. And one last one there. Now this feeds into that. And we send the junctions into the machines. There we go. That is all good. And so those are filling up with crude oil exactly as you'd expect. So that then is going to give us a lot of heavy oil residue. And then the next thing we need to do is the heavy oil residue package fuel loop. So let's get some space over here for that. We don't want those other resources to be in the way for this. So this expands out. And goes like that. Alright, so how does this loop work? We start with... Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to work... No, we're going to start with the start. So we have the heavy oil residue there. We have a refinery which turns heavy oil residue and packaged water into packaged fuel. Then we have a packager just directly off of those, which unpackages fuel. Right, so that just goes directly into that, easy. Then we have a pipe of fuel and some empty canisters. Then we take the empty canisters and we use them to package some water. And then we take those and we just loop them back to the initial machines. So, we just have to make sure that everything fits in here. So let's get the belts in first, and these pretty much all just need to be exactly Mark 1s, like that and that. And if I'm going to be hover packing, it's going to be useful to have power nearby. So where is the nearest power pole? All the way over there. So we're just going to bring this along, not because I'm actually going to be connecting up machines, but just because I like being able to fly. Alright, so we then take this belt around this way. This is the packaged water. And it comes around here. And then eventually goes into that. And now, if we just have the pipes going into all of these, then that will be that. So this needs a fuel output pipe. I'm trying to just ignore the sounds of yard work or whatever in the background. So this gets its fuel output pipe somewhere like that. Actually, is that gonna work properly? No, that's too close. So let's dismantle all of that. Okay, now they're very annoyingly close. I can't hear anything over the yard work, so that's annoying. Alright, what is with all these? I guess auto mode is fine. It's a bit weird looking, but whatever. So that's the fuel output pipe. Then directly next to it, we're going to have the water input pipe, which goes like that apparently. Maybe having those be crooked is a mistake. Those should probably be flat. So let's get those in like that and like that. And yeah, that's much nicer. Alright, so fuel output there. Water input here. And then we just need as many of these as we need. Which is how many? Also, this is not... In order for these belts to be straight, it isn't like perfectly aligned. The packagers are a little bit off to the side, which is not ideal, but it's also not a big problem. Alright, we're gonna have to move that, which I'm gonna have to move it to like there, somewhere not in the way. And then we get the refineries in. I have to make sure that the refinery isn't going to be a problem with anything. So how many of these do we need? We need 412.5 fuel. Each of these is 60. So that's 60, 120. Actually, let's copy paste the settings. That's 60, 120. How many ticks over is this? Is it possible to tell? It looks like maybe 2. Yeah, it looks something like that. That's 180. And that is 240. And my keys aren't working again. Hello. Hotkeys, please. Function. Any of them. Okay, well, my hotkeys are no longer working, so that's a good sign. Is it just the numbers in general? The numbers in general seem to be working. Okay, whatever I did, I've fixed the hotkeys, so that's convenient. Alright, so now we just have to expand this out a little bit more. So that's 60, 120, 180, 240, 300, and... no, just 300. Then that is 360. And that would be 420, which is just more than enough. So that is that. And now we need to get all of these in. I put all of these in backwards. Of course I did. Why wouldn't I? So we're just gonna have to get rid of all of these and replace them. Gosh, this has been a big day for minor time-wasting mistakes, hasn't it? Alright, so those all go in like that, facing the correct way this time. Now these all go in. And we are going to need to bring the power over so that we can continue to hover. So that can go there. And then all of these are good. Alright, then we can put the belts between them, like that. And then we just need these, which just line up across, like that. And then we're going to have to figure out how to conveniently get the return belt in, but that shouldn't be too hard, hopefully. Alright, so these belts go across. Like that. And then these pipes. This is one behind that bar, so that can go there, and then a little bit further to there, and then this one is directly on the center, so it just comes across and across to there. Alright, so now we connect these in. Like that. And they all are in. And we now just connect them across. And then we connect these across, and then we'll have this basically done. Alright, so we have that. Now, last step is to loop all of these back around. And I think... so if we do the speed balancing way that I've done it previously, that does cause some issues. And actually, speaking of which, I should grab some of those and some of those. So we're going to need these to all have their own things. So you get some empty canisters, and you get some empty canisters. You, and then you get packaged fuel, you get packaged fuel, you get packaged fuel, and then we need a little bit more for this one, so you can have a combination of both, and then I'll grab some more packaged fuel for me to stand on, in case I need to use the jetpack for some reason. I want to have some of that. Alright, so Now we need to make these loop back to here. And I think let's see, are they just going to fit around like this? I think they probably will. Not in straight mode, that's going to be too awkward, but default mode, we can just go through these convenient gaps. And then I'm going to leave a bit more space there just for the pipes to go in. So for that reason, I'm going to just do the last step of this all in straight mode. Okay, that's not far enough back. I want these to be like that. And then these just keep going along. Alright, so we have those curves in. Now we just have to go around here in default mode and get these to connect back to that. Like that. Okay, this one's a bit awkward because that's where the support pillar is. And then, so that just goes along and connects up. And we're just going to have to do this for a couple more of these. And then we will have our nice, pleasant system there to make fuel. Right, and in. And then we just have one more because we've done those two already. So this comes around and in. Alright, so that should be the fuel loop all set up and ready to go once it's activated. We just need to put the input pipes in. So this pipe goes up and across as far over here as it'll go. We're going to need more platforms there. Alright, so let's line it up directly on the foundations so that's more convenient. And boom, pipe in. Now we put all of these. And then the last step is going to be underclocking the last batch of these. Because we don't need 420, we need 412.5. So that will be quick. Just take 7.5 off of everything there. Alright, so this will be 52.5, 52.5, and 52.5. Alright, so that is that. And then we just hook this heavy oil residue pipe up to these. So first we get this pipe across to connect all these up. Like that. And then we do this. Alright. And now these get piped in. Oh, but we're also going to have to deal with the polymer resin. I forgot that this has another output. Alright, well, this pipe then is going to have to be in the air so that the polymer resin belts can go under it. Which means we have to get rid of it, unfortunately. Yet again, today has been a big day for small mistakes that waste a bit of time. Alright, so all of these pipes come out, and there we go. So now we just have to get the belt in, and this is going to technically waste a bit of polymer resin, although actually we might be able to be more efficient by using this polymer resin. Nah, I think at some point in the future I will make an effort to use drones to gather up all the polymer resin from all of these assorted things and then use that for something. But I think the amounts that these individual things are getting are not going to be enough for it to really be worthwhile doing. Alright, so this all goes out. And I don't even know how much polymer resin this is. It's... yeah, this is another belt which I didn't properly underclock, right? So this is 40, 80, 120, 160, 200, 240, 280, 320. 320 minus 306.25 is 13.75. So do that minus 13.75. And that's all set up. And then we just have to send that polymer resin into a sink over here. So let's get that in. And I don't know how much polymer resin there is, but it's probably less than a Mark III belt. And now we get our pipe in. Don't be in some weird mode, just be in auto mode. So then this pipe comes all the way across. And it's like one tick off of the center, is that right? Looks correct. No, it actually doesn't. That's one tick off the center. That's one tick off the center. Alright, it is correct. Cool. I don't know why it looked funny there for a second. Alright, so then that pipe goes across. It's definitely straight. Alright. So now we just put the junctions in. And connect everything up. I'm really missing my blueprint heavy design from last time, because this would not be an issue if I just made everything in blueprints again. Why did you do that? Just go down like that. There we go. And now that just pops in there. And that will be heavy oil residue into this. And then this is the fuel output. And this is the water input. so let's get the water over. Should be doing better on... Yeah, we have plenty of copper sheets now. So we can just take one of these pipes and let's see. I guess we can get floor holes like there and there for these to go into. And then they can come across under this. And then up they go. Alright. Then we just need them to come up to this floor, which they can do like that. So there and there. And then they just need to go up a little bit more and come along over this way. Like that. And why did that go down again? That's fine, but annoying. Pipe's gonna look all weird now. Alright, we only need one pipe to come over this way for this purpose. The other one can be dealt with separately. Alright, so then that just connects in. And that will be water for all of these. Alright. So that's all hooked up and ready to output fuel. And then the thing we need the fuel for is plastic and rubber. So let's get over here and make a setup for plastic and rubber. Alright, so this should be more than enough space there. So we have a couple of refineries. We need 325 rubber, which is quite a bit. So this is going to be 60, 120, 180, 240, 300, 325. Alright, now let's find that power pole and drag it further along so that we can still hover around here. Alright, so that's 60 times 6 is 360. Alright, let's see if I remember how to do this. That should be 325. So I feel like that's... Hang on. How much plastic is this going to need just for a ballpark? Oh, I think I remember how to do this. We have to multiply the amount of rubber we need by like times 1.25. So we need to make 406.25 rubber, I think. Total, so that's 360, and that will be up to more than 420. Well, this will be 420, which is more than 406 is what I meant to say. Alright, so that is 60, 120, 180, 240, 300. So then this would want to be 6.25, I guess, so that all of those are going to be the output rubber. And then this would bring us up to 366.25. And we would need one more there. So that would be 400 and something. Alright, so if this... Wait, I was looking at the wrong number, wasn't I? 325, not 306.25. So this should be 25. I was looking at the heavy oil residue number for some reason. Don't know why I was doing that. Alright, so that's 25. So this whole batch is 325. Then we need to get up another 406.25 minus 325. Minus 325 is 81.25. So then these two can be 81.25 divided by 2. And then we paste that across. And that would be the rubber that we need to recycle, which is 81.25. So then we come over here. Let's grab that power pole and bring it over as well. There we go. We can continue to fly and not fall off of the platform. So this then expands out, and we get our plastic pointing this way, which we're just going to need to set, obviously, to recycled plastic. And this is going to be, what, divided by 4 or something? No. Oh, wait. So these two make 81.25 plastic total. Which means we need actually... Which mean, so these two make 81.25 rubber. Now these can each individually use up to 30. So we actually need a third of these. And then this is going to be 0.25 times 2/3, I think. 27.083 times 3. Yes, that is the correct value. So we paste all that across. And that gives us 54.167 times 3, which is 162.5 plastic. Now the amount of plastic we need here is hang on, let's figure that. 30, 60, so it's this one, 30, 60, 90, 120, 150 plus 12.5 is 162.5 plus 20.312 times 2. Okay, I think we've made a mistake. Oh wait, no, we might be fine. No, we definitely made a mistake. So these 3 can make 162.5, which is enough to fuel the 325, but not these. Gosh, at one point I knew there was like an easy way of doing this multiplication. Oh, was it maybe 325 times 1.3 and it's 433? It's definitely just multiply the number by something. I think it might be this. So we get 433 and a third total rubber that we need to make. And we have 325 there. Minus 325 equals 108.3 repeating. So this would be 108.3 repeating divided by 2 is 54.167. Alright, so now we have that. 54.167 times 2 is 108.3 repeating. And these are going to, I think we're probably going to need even a fourth one of these. So this will be, hang on, so that 108.3 repeating is the amount of rubber we have to make the plastic, which means that the amount of plastic this makes is going to be 108.3 repeating times 2 because it's twice as much plastic as rubber goes in, and then divided by 4 because they're 2 machines. So yeah, this would be 54.167, right? Because that's that. Alright, so if we have 4 of these, then that gives us 216.66 repeating plastic, which is 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 162.5 plus 54.167, 62.5 plus 54.167 is 216 and 2/3. 54.167 times 4 is 216 and 2/3. We have done it. We have successfully figured out the numbers for this whole thing. So now we just need to get the belts across, which I say just. It's gonna be a bit annoying, I think. If we want to do this the proper balanced way, which I do, because it's more fun. Alright, so we have 54.167 goes into both of those. Okay, so that's actually straightforward. That's a very good start, because this should actually wind up pretty simple because of that. So those two get that split in two. Then we have that one, which only wants to get 12.5, which is going to be annoying. However, these ones want to get 60 each, or 30 each rather, which should be almost fine. Okay, so that's that special one. So then these go there and there. So those ones can be speed balanced. We're going to have to move that power pole. So that can just come and hide in there where it's not going to be in the way of anything. Alright. And then we have this last 30, which we are going to need to do a custom speed balancing setup for, but it'll be an easy one, fortunately. So we have a merger and a splitter. So 60 goes there, 30 goes there, the other 30 comes back, and then this is a priority merger with priority right, so that only effectively 30 will go through there. Alright, so now we just have to distribute to those. And let's see, those have to be Mark 1s. That I've put a priority merger on top of my merger. I have to shift click it to place it there. Alright, so that winds up being fine again, and then you get to be left any center overflow, and you get to be left any center overflow. And then we just put in one more, which is center any left overflow. And then the extra 12.5 plastic that can't go anywhere in there because all those are limited by the belt speed will go there. And so we just have to make a line of mergers back here. Is that lined up properly? Yes, it is. Oh, that's placed in front of the fluid output, not the solid output like we need it to be. So those all go like that. And they output to there. And they output to there. Alright, so we have that. Now, we need to just do the other side, which is, I believe, just these two going into those four evenly. Should be pretty simple, if I don't get stuck between two refineries. Alright, so let's see. This goes like that. And there and there. Then we just have like that. There and there. And there. Alright. So that should be all good. Now we need to grab a whole bunch of rubber and some plastic, because these machines are going to need to be bootstrapped. And so that will distribute plastic into all of these. And this one needs to be bootstrapped. So this will distribute plastic to there. These will distribute plastic to all of those. And that should be good. Let's just get more of this in here just to be completely positive. And okay, that one is one of the output machines, right? Yes, so we don't actually want to bootstrap these ones because we want them to turn on only if they're actually working and not just output randomly for no reason. So that should be all set and ready to go. And then we just merge it all up. How much rubber is there in the end? 325, so that's going to be Mark IV belt, but we're going to use Mark V because it's much more convenient than Mark IV. Alright. And that is rubber. Now we need to hook up the fuel lines to it. So we get a pipe which starts there. That's one tick off of the middle. And it just goes across. And it just keeps going across until there, where that's far enough. And now we put the junctions in, and then we can connect this up, and we're going to have to do the same thing on the other side. There we go. These pipes go down. And there. Alright, so that is those all attached up to fuel. Now we just have to get these, which you can have a pipe that goes there, and then goes across, like so. And then those go in. There we go. Alright. Now we just have to connect these two pipes across, right? So this comes around like that, and then snaps into there. And then finally snap this in to that. And this should make the rubber we need. And then the other thing we need to do is we need a small amount of plastic, just 87.5, which hopefully won't be too difficult. So we are going to need a little bit more space here. And then let's bring the power pole over, I guess. That's what falling out of the sky means. Alright, now it's plastic time. So this is going to be at least 2, and what did we figure out? It's 87.5 times 1.3 is 116.66 repeating is the amount that we need in total. So let's have this. So these two machines can be the output plastic. Then this machine can be 116.6 repeating minus 87.5. 87.5. And is that? Yes, so it's 29.166, apparently. Where'd my mouse cursor go? 29.166 repeating. Alright, so these two make the output plastic. This is the plastic that goes into the next one. And then we need a rubber refinery as well. So you are set to recycled rubber. And 58.34 rubber. Is that correct? So we need 21.875 times 2. 21.875 times 2 is 43.75 plus 14.583. 0.583 is 58.3 repeating. Yes. I'm just going to make that 0.3 repeating so it's more precise. And then that should be good if we can get the ratios to divide properly. Which is going to be hard, I think. So first of all, this bit is going to be easy, obviously. We just do that. And grab some rubber, grab some plastic. You get jump-started, and you get jump-started. Alright, so then we need to figure out these ratios. So, divided by 14.583. 0.333 divided by 14.583 is 4. So 14.583 is 1/4 of this. And then these two are even. So we take this output, we split it into 2. Then we split one of those 2 into 2. Send it in there. And we merge up the rest. Like that. So that is getting 1/4. And that is getting the rest of it. And then we can just split this into 2 again. Like that. And that is that load balancing. Seemed intimidating at first, turned out to be quite simple. Alright. So now we just have to run the fuel pipes. So first I'm going to take that out and run this pipe along here. And it has to connect into all of these inputs. Please. There we go. And then we have that. Okay, then I want to put a junction in there so that this can connect up. But, of course, we don't want to connect it directly up because this also needs to go over here. And there. And then we just split that off and connect them all up. Alright, so then we just have these two plastic outputs, which we merge up. And let's make that pipe stay high up for longer so that it can go over those. Like that. And then those two connect. And they come out. And we have plastic. Alright. Now I'm going to do something which I haven't done for previous factories, but which I think will be handy for this one. Which is, I'm going to turn on this portion of it independently. So, the idea is, that's going to go into a sink. That's going to come out that way. It's going to be right any center overflow. And then we're going to set up a sink over here as well. Doing the same thing. That way we can just turn on this portion of the factory, make sure that it's working properly, and hopefully deal with things in smaller batches than I have been just turning everything on all at once. Alright, so that gets a smart splitter. Goes in there. Center overflow. Let's go left any. Like that. Alright, now we can turn this on and see if it breaks. And if it does, then that will be unfortunate. But we'll be able to start the bug fixing process while we're still in the factory, as opposed to having to like finish and then come back afterwards to fix problems. Because this will be running, so we'll be able to see problems occurring with it while we're building like the quartz related stuff and the deuterium related stuff and all that. So this is going to all go in. And let's see, then we need to power that one up. Alright, so obviously we've been working backwards a little bit here. Did we get... Alright, we got that sink. Did we get the other sink? I suspect we have not. Yeah, we have not. Alright, so that can attach into that one, I guess. Alright, now we start turning on this loop, which is going to need a couple more power lines, but... So yeah, and these machines are going to be able to just start turning on immediately. There we go. So then we have to get this row. And then this can come along. And then we get these ones, and those aren't going to turn on until the crude oil machines have turned on, obviously. Alright, so that is all powered up. And now we can go back here. And with these machines starting up, then it'll actually start doing stuff. Alright, and there, and there. Alright, so that should be rubber and plastic starting up. And heavy oil residue obviously still going to be taking a while to make its way through the system. but it shouldn't have any problems with crude oil supplies, so this should just be running along nicely. Yep, all of these are comfortably at 100%. And these are obviously going to be getting all the packaged water and producing heavy oil residue, and then packaged fuel will come out and it'll be great. Okay, now we do need this to fill up, obviously. So let's turn off the first couple of these. And that will make sure that these pipes can saturate properly. So those two are off, which means we are producing more heavy oil residue than we're consuming, which should cause this pipe to fill, and then everything should work fine. Alright, so while that is... Actually, we can let the fluids manifold the old-fashioned way, I think. So while that's going, because we're not just waiting for this to turn on completely with nothing else better to do, we can start moving on to the next phase of the factory. So that should theoretically be producing our fuel. Now there is fuel in these pipes, and these are producing fuel. It looks like it's working along nicely. So then it is just a question of when the fuel in the pipe will get along to the machines that, like this one. So this is making rubber, and it's outputting the rubber. The rubber is getting here, and these ones aren't getting fuel. Alright, well that will happen shortly, I think. So in the meantime, let's move on to the next thing, which will be, I guess, quartz crystals. Quartz crystals are easy enough to do. Do I even have a blueprint for those? No, not specifically. Alright, let's get... Actually, probably is. So it's going to be a refinery recipe with 2 inputs and a solid output. So this one should work. Oh, but it's not going to be balanced properly. Yeah, we're gonna have to do it manually. That's fine. All right. So, which one of these is the quartz? Actually, I just sort of assumed this one is, but it's Caterium instead. We can do Caterium. That's fine. No reason not to. Pure Caterium ingots. And we need how much? 75? So 75 divided by 12 is 6.25. So we're going to round that up to 8 for splitting purposes. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then let's get water into these first. So that pipe can come along here. And then go along to this. And then we throw all this stuff in. It's not snapping properly, but at least it's showing me the lines so that I can get it approximately. It was almost snapping properly there for a second, and then it stopped. Alright, so these go down. And in there. Alright, so we need water. How much water do we need for this? This is going to be 75 divided by 8. So we're going to need 150 water. And that needs like 412 water. So that should be theoretically enough to feed off of this one pipe. But I think there's just no reason to do that. Like, the second pipe is not going to be that stressed out. It should have plenty of free capacity as long as we use it here. Because we have like 800-ish water total that we need. So splitting like 400 there, 400 here makes a lot more sense. So this pipe is going to sneak under the heavy oil residue pipes. And then go up this way and into there. Alright, so that will provide all the water. And now we just need to do the splitting for the Caterium ore, which is just a 1 to 8, which is simple. We do have to be careful not to mess with the space too much, because this is where it comes from. So we do have to do some slightly strange things, but nothing too crazy. Alright, so these go along like that and that. Alright, now we just split into those. Let's see, the total input of this is 150, so we should be fine for only Mark II belts on like the final bit. So then that gets a splitter there, goes there and there. And then those two. And actually, hang on. If it's 150, then those two will be 75. So these two actually do need to be Mark IIs. The rest of them are fine, though. Alright, now we go around here. Hope we left enough space. We did. Lovely. And we're going to merge them up this way. And then, let's see here. We're going to then make the quick wire and whatever we're using the quick wire for. I think we're not gonna activate this tiny section here independently, just because it's literally one line of machines. That's a bit pointless. Alright, so then this outputs 75 total, which means Mark II belts are enough. Alright, so now that we've done that for a little bit, let's go back here and see what's going on with these. This looks all good. We're definitely outputting rubber. I see one yellow in here. 0%. Oh. I set this to any. Okay, so I think that's just still a work in progress. Like, this just has to backlog a little bit more. We just have to fill up these belts. So as these go through, eventually I think this belt will start backing up. Unless there's also a problem over there, which doesn't look like. And this doesn't look like it's backlogging to any meaningful extent. Are these filling up more than they need? Doesn't look like it. Oh, it is, definitely. See, you can see now every so often some plastic is filling up past the smart splitter. So this is just going to keep continuing and then go over that way. Yeah, this is... It's sort of like watching the bouncing screensaver try to get to the corner, where like every time it just moves a little bit to the right and it doesn't quite go over yet. But it should be any second now. Yep, there we go. You're now starting to get plastic that way. And that should be all activated now. Alright, now we can go back over here to the Caterium, which I believe I need to just copy paste this across. There we go. So that is all set up. So this makes Caterium ingots. Then, what do we need the Caterium? What do we need the quick wire for? Because obviously the ingots are going to quick wire. Alright, so quick wire out of Caterium ingots, yep. And the quick wire is going to AI limiters alongside the plastic. Alright. That's not too bad. So we're going to just make the quick wire here, and then that will be good. So, how much space is this quick wire going to need? It is just a constructor recipe. And so let's just plop down a constructor and see. Actually, this would sort of be just like the ideal place to put it, I guess. So quick wire is 12 to 60. And we need 375. 375 divided by 60 is 6.25. We're going to round that to 8. I feel like maybe I could have done that. Maybe I could have connected these up individually if I had known that it would be like exactly the same. But I just haven't left enough space in there for that, and that's not a big deal. Alright, so then we just have to take up a little bit more space here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Look at that. Exactly the right amount of foundations. Love to see it. Alright, so then we have all of these, and I didn't... Right, so I should have done that. 375 divided by 8 is some weird number. So we're going to copy that and just paste it along to all of these. Alright, and then we have to do a 1:8 splitter again. And we want to leave space for that to curve around a little bit. So we're going to do this here. 2. Alright, so those are all in. And we just connect them up. There we go. And there we go. Alright, so then we get some of these. And I'm going to press this towards the middle a little bit here. So we go with that. And that. And then finally we split this. And if that's 75 total, then only this bit will need to be Mark II. So that just goes like that. And that will make the quick wire, which we will, I guess, merge in this way just so that we're not using a huge amount of space over here where we don't really need to. This constructor line was already sort of pushing it in how far I want to go over in that direction. Just because I don't like overhanging the train lines whenever possible. Alright, so the belts from here in can be Mark 1, and then the main line has to be Mark 4 or higher. We're going to go with Mark 5, because it is more convenient, made of less annoying materials. Alright, so that is going to give us our quick wire, which we are just going to send up. And because this is the last bit before the next floor, I think we will put in a sink. Put it there, nice and out of the way. And smart splitter. Right any center overflow. Or, no, the other way around. Center any right overflow. This way, if I forget to... Oh, this is backwards. This way, if I forget to reconfigure this later, it'll still just work. And it'll actually make sure that all like the subcomponents of the factory are working, even if others aren't, which will be helpful for bug fixing. Alright, so we have that, and now we are going to turn this on. So we get a Mark III power pole, and we power on the sink, and then we can start getting all of these. So these are all going to require power, like that, and then these are all going to require power. So these all get hooked up. And then I want some spare because I don't want to use up all of the power line connections. And then we power them on. And they start receiving deuterium, they start receiving water, and we should be good to go on this. So yeah, we can already see the first couple of deuterium ingots going out here. Nice and responsive. And then obviously it's going to be a while before the ones back here make it all the way up and make this a full line, but should get started. And now we are making quick wire. First machine has turned on. And there we go. So we can leave that, come back in a minute to see if everything is working properly. In the meantime, what we can actually do is go over here and what is this? It's under logistics, conveyor throughput. Put a monitor there. Put a monitor over here. And then put a monitor over by the quick wire as well. And then we'll be able to see more easily if we're getting approximately the right numbers. Just at a glance without having to open up a bunch of menus or look for yellow lights or anything. I wish the throughput monitors were a bit more precise in their numbers. Like, I wish they could tell you fractions if they were calculating fractions, but it's good enough, basically. So this should be 325. It is 318. Oh no, it's going up. Yeah, that looks like more than 325 actually. Nope, it's estimated down. Now it's saying 324. This is yellow. Why were you yellow just now? Because of lack of output needed, and you aren't getting enough fuel. All right, so we can start dealing with this then. Fuel, what is going on? These are the fuel producers, and let's see, 94% there, 95% there, 100%, 100%, 95%. Alright, so is there a bottleneck? Let's see, water is... We go all the way over to this one where it would be a problem. Water isn't an issue. Heavy oil residue seems to not be an issue. It looks like the issue might just be the amount of canisters. Like, I'm hardly seeing any, right? Like, this line has 4 there, 3 there, 3 there, which means that almost the entire stack of canisters I gave it are just sitting on the belt. So I can fix that easily by just grabbing more of those and grabbing more of those. And we don't need there to be a huge amount extra, but we just need there to be some spare canisters so that the system is fully looped around and everything. So we're just going to put a couple more in each of these. And then if there's a problem, that should cover for it, and those should distribute to wherever is needed. So that should do the fuel. And then aside from that, it's probably just... Okay, no, this isn't getting enough plastic. It has plenty of fuel, not enough plastic. And this is the 12.5 per minute one, right? Because it's the last possible place where plastic can go. So that makes sense. The reason there isn't enough plastic is because these are struggling for fuel. All right. I mean, that should all be... It should all be working itself out with enough packaged fuel in the system now. Because, yeah, so that should be fine, hopefully. I'm not seeing any shortages of water or heavy oil residue, which are the inputs to this system. Like, the water is clearly all full here. Very much so. So we should be all clear now. Alright, so that is that. And now we can head over here. How is this going? 374? Yep, and it's going to be oscillating around there, obviously, but this looks like it is working properly. So next up is the quartz. So, quartz should be able to fit in here, just like that. Is that going to be enough room? Barely, but yes. So put the quartz there. Put the merger in there, and that's fine. So you are going pure quartz crystal. How much of this do we need? We need 250. This makes 52.5. so let's think. We could do, so that's obviously, could do 5s, but it would be easier to do 6s. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the reason that's easier is because making a 1 to 5 splitter is more complicated than making a 1 to 6 splitter, just because it's a prime number and 6 is a composite number. And that's pretty much it. Alright, so that gets a splitter. That gets a splitter. Are those two lined up? They are. So then these belts go in, like so, and then these go in. And how much is this? It's going to be more rock quartz than quartz crystals, and it's 250 quartz crystals, so it's probably going to be like 300-ish rock quartz. So let's make sure that those belts in there are tier 3. And that belt going into it is tier 5. Oh, and each of these machines takes 67.5, so those are all going to need to be that. Oh, but we haven't actually set them yet. So this has to be 250 divided by 6. And then we paste this across. So, that is fine. These don't need to be Mark II belts, but it's not going to hurt anything, obviously. And then we just merge these up. Which, again, very close quarters in here. But it should be fine. And then we just send the belts back out. Mark I belts out of the machines, and then going to need Mark III belts for the main line. So that goes along. Alright, so that is the quartz crystals. Now we need to put the water in, and this is, I believe, the last use of water in this factory. So that's nice. Nice to be able to get all the fluids done on the first floor, as opposed to having to, you know, pump them up to a second floor or whatever. Alright, that last one was not lined up properly, so let's make sure it's nice and straight. And it goes there. There we go. Now each of these snap in. And there we go. And we send the water down, and we attach it up to the water pipe. There we go. Water pipe is over here. So let's just pop a junction off of that and send it over. So that is now going to fill up with water, and it should be all good to go. Alright, so next step is what are the quartz crystals used for? Let's hop down and check. I believe it's going to be AI limiters or something. No, it's going to be used for crystal oscillators. Alright, so yeah, this is definitely the last we're going to be working with them on this floor. So So we can put in another sink and get them started up as well. Make sure the sink is back here, or maybe even like here, so that it's, you just don't want things to get in the way of each other. Alright, so then we get a splitter, make it a smart splitter. Left is overflow, and center goes forwards, and now we can just power all this up. So we have a spare power pole. We're going to make another spare power pole, just so that we always have plenty of lines. And there we go. So that's all powered up. Now these are running. Alright, so we have that. And we have quartz crystals. Very nice. And now that those are coming out, we can pop a throughput monitor onto this. And it should be 250. It says 270. It's about to receive a gap, which should lower it to 250. Alright, so that should be that. Quartz crystals are now producing as well. And we can pop over here. You're still showing 375. And the crude oil related stuff over here is 325 rubber. And then this should be something around 88 or 85. 87, yep, 87.5. Somewhere around there is the correct number. It's all looking good. Now, which one of these? You are the one that receives plastic last. You are showing 100%. And it looks like it's going to continue that way. So if the last thing to receive plastic is showing 100%, then that's pretty much guaranteed. Alright, now I see yellow lights over here on the heavy oil residue. What is wrong with you? Not enough output. Did I do the math wrong? I might have done the math wrong. Now, first of all, let's just verify these are the ones that use it. That's 100, 100, 100. It's showing 100% across the board. Alright, so these are all running at 100%, so that's not why there's not enough heavy oil residue usage. 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, 200 and... Wait, is that right? 30, 60. Yeah, it definitely is, right? Because it's half of the fuel production. Because this is 1 to 2, right? So the fuel production is 412.5, and we know that. So then this heavy oil residue production is half of that, which should be 206.25, and we're not using it. Oh, we are using it for something else. Alright, that's what I missed. We have 300 petroleum coke to make. Alright, good thing I noticed. That would have been quite the mystery. So let's grab some space over here and fit those in, hopefully. I mean, it's petroleum coke, it's not rocket science. We need 300. That's going to be 3 of these running at 100 each. I typoed that. That's 100. Alright, so then they get a pipe going across there. And then they get that. And those go down. That goes in. And then these can all get powered up. Let's see, power pole is back there. And then let's set up their output real quick. So they are going to merge up like that. They're 100 each, so these need to be Mark II belts. And then, stop it. Please be normal. And then the main line is going to be Mark Vs. And then we get a sink for them back here. So you get to smart split into a sink, I guess. Let's move that ever so slightly. So the sink goes there. Smart splitter goes there. That doesn't line up right. Splitter goes there. Make it smart splitter. Then that and that. And left overflow. Center any. And now we just have to power that on. There we go. We managed to get it all done before these oversaturated with petroleum coke. Alright, so that is that. Petroleum coke set up. And let's get in the throughput monitor. Actually, it's a bit dumb to put it there. It should be here. Because it'll be the same in the short term, but once we stop doing this, once we stop using the sink and start outputting to future things in the factory, this will be more useful. Alright, so we have all that all ready to go. And that's going to use the extra 100 heavy oil residue that I was confused about. And it doesn't look like it's going to have caused any serious issues because we had plenty of heavy oil residue to spare. Alright. So then there's just one last thing to do on this bottom floor, I believe, and that is the aluminum casings, which should be nice and straightforward. Just some constructors, right? So let's give them plenty of space, not using that space for anything else. And we need, how much? We need 400 of them. So 400 divided by 60 is going to be 7, so we're going to round that to 8. So this is 400 divided by 8, which is 50. I could have done that in my head. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright. Now we just set this up to balance in like that. And belts. Constructors are so nice to work with. They just work. You don't have to do any stuff with pipes. You just put the belts in and they work. Alright, so then we do this. And that is 75 per minute. So these need to be Mark IIs. Forgot that this is hilariously inefficient. And the only alternative is like 5% more efficient, but also uses a ridiculous amount of copper, which is an incredible scam. Alright, so now this is going to be 150. So Mark III is needed. There. And then this is going to be 300 each. So Mark V is going to be needed there. And then this outputs there and comes around into there. And that can all saturate through. Alright, now we connect up the mergers like this. And how much is this? 400, and it's 50 each, so these can be Mark I belts. Then the rest can be Mark V. Alright. So this goes along. Not like that. I don't know why you wanted to do that. The belts in this game, man, they have some funny ideas about what would be a normal thing for them to do. Alright, so now we just put in a sink. That's facing the wrong direction. Saw that like the exact instant that I placed it. Alright, so then that goes like that with right overflow, center any. Alright, so that is all good. Now we just need to connect it up to something. So that one has got a free connection. And we can then snap all of these in. And then we need to also power up that and make sure we have another extra power pole so we have more free connections if needed. And that should be all set. And this should show 400. It's showing 400-ish. It's always a good sign. Alright, so that is showing 400. That's showing 250, is that right? Yes, 250 is correct there. 375 is correct there. I'm going to fly up, and I don't see any yellows. So this should be 300. It's 300. It's slightly higher than that because presumably these were offloading some extras. And that's saturated while I built the thing. That's 325, which is correct. And then we go back here. And this is still somehow showing 90s, which... Okay, but it does drop down to the 80s as well. It's just sort of inconsistent, but it does look like it is all working nicely. So, now, with all of this done, we can be pretty certain that if there are any flaws in the system, it is not with the first floor. Which means we should be able to just ignore this floor in the future. It's just running along, doing what it should. Alright, so I think I'm going to just set up the second floor and And then we'll see what happens next. Alright, so this wall goes up. I think it goes up one more. Yep, it goes up one more. And then we can start covering over all of this. So, let's see, that wherever we see a sink is probably, not necessarily, because there's that one, but is probably a resource that we need to pick up onto this floor. So, go here, cover up all of that. Now we can drop down here and send these resources up. So you get a floor hole up there. And how much is this? 250, so Mark III is good enough. Then we go up here. Pop that floor hole in. You're 300 something, so you're going to need a Mark V. Then let's see here. So we have Caterium, check. We have quartz crystals, check. That's polymer resin, which we aren't using for anything at the moment. So now we need to go a bit further over this way to get the aluminum casings. And something like that. Alright, so then that goes up to there. And there we go. That's aluminum casings done. Now we have to bring the foundation all the way over this way. So over we go. And then over this way to cover up the petroleum coke. So, this is 300. That goes in. And it goes up. Next, we send it over this way to grab the rubber. There we go. Up there. And this should be the only refinery floor that we need, so we don't have to deal with these obnoxious tall ceilings much more than this. So that is the rubber. And then we go a bit further over to grab the plastic. And then, let's see, somewhere like that. No, we need a couple more. So like that, and then may as well do that as well. This goes up there. And just needs to be Mark II, because it's 87 something. So that will fill up. Temporarily turn this sink off. Speaking of, I have 261 printable coupons. It's been a while since I've checked, but seems like the numbers are ticking up pretty nicely. Alright, so then that is all set up. And I believe that is all the resources that are going to the second floor. So, now I guess we start using them. And we start with, let's see, how do you make an AI limiter? Quick wire and plastic. Alright, so let's see here. Actually, it's hard to tell. So this is the quick wire. And we need it to come out. Pretty sure we're easier to tell from the top what everything is. This is quartz crystals, which can be marked 3, I believe. So let's just have these belts coming out so that we can see what everything is and how fast it needs to be. So this is the aluminum casings. So they can come out like that. And then we go all the way over here for the petroleum coke, the rubber, and the plastic. Alright, so that's petroleum coke. That is rubber. And then all the way over here is the plastic. And we're just going to bring the plastic over at least most of the way over there. Because it would be helpful to be a bit more compact. Isn't strictly speaking necessary, but would be nice. Alright, so that can come along. And it is plastic plus deuterium equals AI limiters. So I think, let's see, we don't want to go too far over because then everything is going to be all compact and difficult to work with. So I think we just make the AI limiters here. This is like properly over a significant portion of the factory. Probably not going to be using this space for much else. So we go over here and we make a line of assemblers. And I should go into them and set them. Plastic AI limiter. And we need 25. So 8 is obviously not an ideal number. So 25 divided by 4 is much easier to work with. And there we go. Oh, but now we have 2 inputs. Alright. I think we want to make this a logistics floor. So those all go out. We go up. We go up 2 just because it's slightly nicer. And then we build our assemblers up here. And then this will let us get the resources in much more cleanly. Not have to do weird stuff with them like we would otherwise. So let's just paste those settings back. And we get those 4 in. And there's no reason we can't do all of the splitting down on the logistics floor. So basically the way it works is you can get like 2 rows in per floor, 1 from each side, at least cleanly. You can do it differently from that if you don't care about it being messy and gross, but I do generally care about it being messy and gross. So we do this. Those are connecting across, probably. And then we get these, which are the plastic, because they're only Mark 1. Alright, so now we come down here, and the quick wire comes from this direction. And that's just every other one of these. Gotta make sure they go down to the right level, though. And it's hard to tell if we're doing this right. but it looks like we did. And then these are the plastic, and they come down like this. And then we just have to set up the splitting for these. So you get one, and you get one. And then that goes in like that. Oh, I grabbed the wrong input there. How much plastic is this? 21 each. So this last one, those can be Mark 1s as long as this input is a Mark 2. So that doesn't need to go as far as it does. It just needs to come over here and then in. Alright, so that is plastic in. And then we're going to need some space over here to do the same thing, but with much faster belts. So you get one of those, and you get one of those. And so those have to be Mark 2s because they're 90. Wait, no, that doesn't connect in there. That would be bad. That would be a 1 to 6 or something. Alright, then let's see here. How does this actually work? So these are going to be 180-ish, which means Mark 3s, and then finally Mark 4s coming out of that. And we just have to find the quick wire, which is over here, and bring it over to that. So this just goes straight along there and into that. Alright, so that is AI limiters. And then they all merge up. And it's going to be 25 total. So only Mark 1 belts needed there. Easy. Now, what are the AI limiters used for? Crystal oscillators, I think? Yeah, so we're doing insulated crystal oscillators. So, we take the AI limiters and the rubber and the quartz crystals, and okay, well, half the rubber apparently. Where does the other half of the rubber go? I should drop down and check just so that I don't make a horrible mistake. Alright, so the rubber. Oh, so 150 goes to the circuit boards, 175 goes to the crystal oscillators. Alright, so let's make the crystal oscillators just because we have everything that we need for them, and then turn all of that on with a sync, and then be good to go. So, we have our AI limiters here. We have our quartz crystals over here, and we have our rubber over here. So what we need to do is we need to split the rubber up properly, which will be easy. So all we have to do is split off 150. That's going to be easier than splitting off 175. So we get our smart splitter, and then we get another smart splitter, and then we have a splitter there, and a priority merger there. So we have our rubber going into that. Now, this... Right, so this needs a merger. So that is 120. That is 30, which means this is 150. And I'm just gonna pop a label sign down here real quick. So you are 150 rubber. So all we have to do for that is set that to overflow, that to any, then connect that across, set that to any and that to overflow, connect that across, and then set that across. So we have a whole bunch here. 120 goes off that way, because that's what that can handle. Then the rest go that way. 60 go there, 30 of which go there, 30 of which go there. 120 plus 30 is 150. Which means this is the remaining 175. And we're not going to have any belt speed problems with that, I don't think. We don't need to make that a priority merger or anything. So, then that can go over somewhere, and that's rubber. Then the quartz crystals are all the way over here. So, we need to make the crystal oscillators, which, like I said last time, is you can get 2 inputs per floor, and we have 3 inputs. So these AI limiters are going to be up here on this top floor, and then the rubber and the quartz crystals are going to be down below on the bottom floor. So let's get that space set out and pop a manufacturer in, and you can make insulated crystal oscillators. Alright, so as far as how many of these assemblers we are going to need, it is a lot. So, 2.5 each would give us 10. Can't do that, so let's go 25 divided by 16. And so that is manageable and is a nice, easy split. We might need a bit more space, but it should be fine. And let's actually just confirm that real quick. Actually, do we have space down here as well? Yeah, we have more space below than we do above. So if this can split, then that can split. So we would need, there's one of them, that's splitting for 2, that's splitting for 4, that's 8, that's 16. Yeah, should be enough space, and we've been a bit, sparse with them there. So that is plenty. So now we just have to place all these down. 2, 3, crystal oscillators have got to be like the most annoying thing on the planet. Like, why do you need so many of them? Why do they produce so slowly? 4, 5, 6, 7. The machines are so huge too. Like, why is it like this? That's 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Actually, is 12 enough? Hang on, let's try. So this is going to be 25 divided by 12. Yes, that's too much. So let's paste that back to where it was. And we need to bring power over in this general vicinity so that we can fly. So there we go, that's a power line. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Another 4 of these stupid things. 13. Okay. Need to continue bringing power along with us as we go now. And I lost track. This is probably 13, 14, 15, 16. And if it isn't 16, we'll figure out when we do the splitting and it doesn't line up properly. Alright, so each of these uses like 1.56 AI limiters. So each of these should produce 6.25, yep. Alright. So, now we have to get the floor holes in. So 2 of these each get floor holes. For the quartz and the rubber. I really, really wish that I didn't have to do this. Like, why are there so many? I could have like overclocked. I could have overclocked and made things easier. That requires power shards though, which are not currently infinite. And I don't know, maybe it would have been worth it to prevent this absolute madness. Alright. So those are all in. Now we place the splitters. So we need to strategically place these so that we don't have to come over here quite as far each time. So you go to those 2. And let's see, these are centered on the line. Good. You go there. And then all these splitters are going to go in following the same pattern. And just make sure they all line up properly. And make sure I don't select the wrong output on the splitter. Alright, that is too far forwards. So, oh, and also it's too close into that side. So this one gets those. And we are making progress here. Fortunately, the way splitters work, each level is easier than the last. So this is going to be the most time we spend on this particular thing. Alright, so that goes there and there. That's too close. And that one goes there and there. So the good news is it's an even number, which means it is probably the correct amount. Alright, so now we put in the next row, which is to there. And now we're going to be using straight mode for all of these, or default mode, because straight mode gets a bit janky when they're so close together. Alright, It's crazy that all of this is to move literally 25 items. At least the quick wire is more satisfying because you're moving a lot of items on those belts. The rubber in this case. But nope, just a couple of items. 25 total across all of this. It's going to take absolutely forever for this to activate because there's just so much space on Mark 1 belts that it has to cover. Alright, so then we have those. We start working backwards again. So you... Alright, this whole row is going to have to be filled in. You go all the way over to there. And you go across that short distance to there. That's important. Can't forget that. Alright, then we have to fill in these ones, which gets this. And it goes there. And then into there. And let's see, these output this way. So it'd be a bit weird for them to just like double back on themselves like that. But it would also be way more convenient. So we have to run less ridiculously long belts. So that goes there. And then comes along this way. And it's got so much farther to go. Comes along this way. And into there. Alright, that is that. And then this is going to twist around like that and then go in there. Alright, so that is one of the rows for the crystal oscillator production done. Just two more of that same thing left. No big deal. But it is currently 4:53, so this is about when I wind up the stream. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I had a lot of fun streaming, building this factory. It's coming together nicely, trying some new design tricks with the intermediate sinks and everything. And seems to be helping a lot. I mean, I fixed a couple bugs, I think. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I will be streaming Factorio tomorrow, where we are just continuing to work on setting things up. We have our new modular city block factory design mostly functional, and we just need to get more stuff onto it. Like, we are currently working on red circuits, and once we have once we can start actually using it and abandoning the old factory, things are probably going to get a lot easier and a lot more convenient over there. So if you're interested in Factorio, make sure to stop by tomorrow. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, Satisfactory on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and Factorio on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So make sure to follow if you haven't already so you can see when I'm live and not miss anything. Factory building can be slow sometimes, but also can be quite fast other times, so if you miss a stream, you might miss something important. So yeah, that's about that. Thanks everyone for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time.